Hey, everybody. In the very popular and awesome play Hamlet by William Shakespeare and his company, uh, there's a line brevity is the soul of wit. And it comes to us care of Polonius, who is a man absolutely full of hot air and an absolute twat. And, when he starts drinking, shut up, Polonius. And he also happens to be the father of Ophelia, who is just as messed up as Hamlet. But anyway, brevity is the soul of wit. Well, what do you think? I'm beginning to definitely think so. The era of like strange, sprawling, experimental American novels of 1,000 pages that become, word of mouth sensations. It's not really a thing. I mean, I think that died in 1997 with Mason and Dixon by Thomas Pynchon, Underworld by DeLillo, and Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. It all ended there, more or less. Let's put our hands up in the air, a salute of the firmest commitment and support to Lucy Ellman and her book Ducks Newburyport, which is fucking gigantic. Anyway, the best thing I've read this year that's contemporary, by a fucking solid measure, is the new Michel Houellebecq novel, Annihilation. Houellebecq is popular for being unpopular. He's a bit of a right-winger in some respects because he came from a loosey-goosey, laissez-faire left-wing background, and it brings out the cackling demon in him. But he is also the only French novelist I know of today, these days, who's doing serious contemporary novels with a lot of research involving medicine and politics and sociology. I mean, this guy has covered his tracks so completely in the last number of novels that it's just like, nobody can fucking do this but this guy. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, because wow, what a person. I mean, he is very ugly and he likes to piss people off, and he's a loudmouth too. So, anyway, but because of all that took me a few months to read. And actually, as I was getting towards the end, I was reading it had a lot in common, that novel, Annihilation, with the Cronenberg film, the most recent one about cancer and death and all of that, and the Shrouds. And so I just thought that was so unusual and fascinating because those two men would not have been interacting. There's almost no way at all. And this sort of thing happens all the time in arts and culture. Jay Hoberman writes about that in his 3 books on the cinema 60s, 70s, and 80s, and how the current events mill and the movies were in psychic connection with one another. It was fucked. It's always been like that. Anyway, I wanted to just, as a customer service representative or a voice of reason in a sea of calamitous noise. And somebody who himself is trying to write shorter, more brief, get it down so even if it's Hegel, a regular person can kind of go, oh. I work forever at that task. Except not Hegel so much, because nobody. That's why I said the way I did, because you can just sort of brush aside. You have to get Hegel out of the way, but you can do it fairly quickly. So 3 small wonderful books recently. 2 of them from New Directions Press. We've got Julio Cortázar, A Certain Lucas, from New Directions. Cortázar, the great of the Latin American writers of that time, to intersect with the Parisian demimondes directly. Argentina and France have long been in cahoots. A lot of the great 20th century French literature was first translated into Spanish in Argentina, and there was a lot of movement back and forth. And so Cortázar is an emissary of that movement and that mode. This one I'm really excited about, by Culpe, City of Rats. This one sounds like Bruno Schultz, but only more scatological and full of dirty jokes. And so it's like Bruno Schultz and Isaac Babel and Andrew Dice Clay, maybe a little bit. Sorry. And last one I'm reading today, I just picked it up. A man I love so much, Harry Matthews. This one's Dalkey Archive, not New Directions. Harry Matthews is the man. This is 1962, and he's got crazy songs in here, transcribed Pynchon style, well before The Crying Law 49. That's 1962. I don't know how Harry Matthews does it or how he did it. My favorite book by him, and one of my favorite books of all time that I relate to on a deep, fucked up personal level, is his book, My Life in CIA. When he was living in Paris, Harry Matthews was a member of the Aleppo group, interacting with George Perec, who he knew well, and Queneau and those guys. Apparently, some people, when he was living in Paris, started to think that maybe he was an intelligence agent or a or from United States intelligence services, one or the other, CIA, NSA, whatever. And he thought he would sort of play it up. So he would like go around Paris acting like he was in the CIA. Like, if I was in the CIA, how would I go about things today? And it did actually snowball and turn into this like sort of minor crisis, and he had to get the fuck out of there. And so there's some literature in there and a whole lot of truth, because I'm pretty sure all of that basically happened. So he's a real, true literary hero. When you go that far out on a limb, that's when you know you're the fucking goat. All right. Peace and love, John Lennon and Yoko Ono.